through the magnificent streets of Jerusalem and also through some of the underground tunnels. Are you ready? If you are, show me that you are, and we will get into the experience. Yes, amazing. We are jumping in immediately to see the beautiful city of Jerusalem. This is the place that combines so many different things. Take a look, please. A new city, homes and hotels and parks and lots of different places that you know from home. But together with that, this city has its ancient history. Take a look here in front of you, ancient walls of the old city of Jerusalem. Are you ready to jump with me together and enter the old city and to see how people lived here for hundreds of years ago, and together with that also a little bit of the history of this important place? Ready? Let's go. We are standing to get with you at one of the main entrances of Jerusalem, of Yerushalayim. For so many years, Jerusalem was not that big city. It was just a small place within the walls. And now we are going to be entering there together with you for our short and nice journey inside this city. For thousands of years, people were coming to this place, and they were just so fascinated by the beauty and by the history of Jerusalem. We are going to be traveling with you through the narrow streets and seeing together with you some of the life of the people and why the city was so important for you, for our nation. And also, there is something that I would like to mention. Of course, it's a very special day, especially for me. I live in Jerusalem, and I love this city a lot. Originally, I was not born in Israel. I was born in the former Soviet Union, and I arrived to Israel because I love this place. And here, some of what I love about Jerusalem, I would like to share with you. We will enter from here on to one of the museums that will show us how people used to live in Jerusalem. But beforehand, take a look how narrow the streets are, how small they are. Just to remind you, right? About 100 years ago, people did not drive here in the car. They didn't use cars. They were just riding donkeys and horses. So the streets in the old city of Jerusalem are very narrow. Let's get inside and take a look how people used to live back then. This is a place which describes the life of the people in Jerusalem about 100 years ago. And here we are. Welcome to Jerusalem home. What? What are you talking about? A home? It's only a room. Yes, because 200 years ago and 100 years ago, the houses in Jerusalem were much, much, much smaller. And this small room actually was a house of people back then. How did they live here? Where did they sleep? So what you see in front of you is actually, it was a room of parents. Here on this bed, usually the parents would be, and then all these mattresses over here, every night, they would unfold, place them on the floor, and all the kids would sleep together as one big bunch. And then every morning, wake up, we need to go to school, yeah, let's prepare the room. And they were folding back this whole thing, and suddenly the bedroom would become a living room. Okay, but where did they store all their clothes? You know, back then people did not have that much. And this small case that you see here, do you see this ancient case with different carvings and paintings and drawings on it? It's made of wood. It's original case that once upon a time, it was actually a closet of the whole family. Inside this case, you know, on the right side, it's of a mommy. On the left side, it's of a daddy and the kids, and everything is folded and everything is clean. Just a second, but where did they eat? How did they cook? I want to show you an ancient oven that they used to cook on. It's like a small barbecue Yes, they use charcoals in order to cook. And they use the small something that looks like a barbecue. And that's how they used to cook. And everyone who was living in this house, actually, they used to live several families together. This is the room of another family. Each one of the families had their private entrance to the courtyard. And the courtyard actually was the main place in the home because kids like you, where did they play? There's no place to play in the home, right? They would all go to this place in the middle, and all of the kids of all the buildings around would meet here and play together. Where did they do the laundry? You know, back then they did not have laundry machines. And here I'm showing you a photo of someone who is making laundry for the kids with their hands. They used these instruments over here. These are the instruments of the laundry that they used to do. So Jerusalem was a small city. About 15,000 Jews used to live in the old city of Jerusalem about 100 years ago. Lots of people from lots of different places. Some of them, they arrived to Jerusalem from Europe, and some of them from South Africa, and some of them from Spain, and all of them living together in the same courtyard. These magnificent streets and these magnificent houses, these places, they actually, what happened to help the people to become a family. Doesn't matter where did they arrive to Jerusalem. Isn't it cool that we can sit at home and just walk the streets, right? Take a look. It's like we are going forwards and backwards. Imagine to yourself as if you are traveling together with me here in Jerusalem. So why did these people decide to live in such a place where there's not too much room and they were not very rich? Some of them decided to leave all the luxuries of the life in Europe or in Asia and to arrive here. Because for them, this city was very, very important. And one of these people that I want to tell you about, that this city was very important for him, his name was Rabbi Moshe. Rabbi Moshe, he used to live in Spain. And being 70 years old, he have arrived here to this place. And he was looking for people to build a community together. Actually, you know, synagogue in Hebrew, Beit HaKnesset, means really the house of gathering, the house of the community. Rabbi Moshe arrived here to Jerusalem about 700 years ago, and he found here in Jerusalem only 2 Jewish families. And he was a little bit sad. He was 70 years old. He left everything behind. He had everything in Spain, but he really had a dream to come to Jerusalem, to come to this magnificent city. When he arrived here, he told the family and the people that he knew, the city is so beautiful. Let's begin our new community in Jerusalem. He sent letters to all over the world, and suddenly people started arriving. And that's how, about 700 years ago, the Jewish community in this city began. So because I'm here together with you, once in a while, you can ask questions. Usually, you can ask questions in the chat, or if you really have a very important question, you can raise your hand, and the people who are together with us from ISC that are helping me to guide this tour together will mention that they will open the microphone and you can ask questions. So if everything is good, if you want to ask something about something that we are doing right now, so please, if you have any question, you can raise your hand or write in a chat. I actually love traveling. I was in so many different places all around the world. And really, I've been to Asia and to India and to America and to Europe. But always, when I come back to Israel, back from my travels, one of the first things that I'm trying to do is to return to Jerusalem. I see that someone asked an amazing question. How can it be They came 700 years ago and Israel is just 72? Amazing question, right? Jews used to live in Israel for thousands of years. The state of Israel is existent only 70 and something, for 70 and something years. But actually Jerusalem is a very, very ancient city. Yes, we are going to see the Kotel tunnels. And when Jerusalem was built. A little bit of patience, and I will tell you the story when it was built very, very soon. But meanwhile, what I wanted to show you is a very interesting thing that you can find here in the middle of the old city of Jerusalem. Does it remind something to you? Anything that you know from your home, maybe one of the holidays? Of course, the holiday of Hanukkah. I see your heads that you understand what I'm talking about. Right, because the guys who established the holiday of Hanukkah, they actually used to be priests in the temple in Jerusalem about 2,000 years ago. When they arrived to Jerusalem and they lit the menorah, the chandelier of the temple, they established a holiday to remember the light and to remember the smile and to remember the continuity of our people. And this is a menorah that it is secured by the glass because it is very expensive menorah. It's made partly of gold, and some people who are dreaming to build back the temple, they already built the menorah for the temple to come. But menorah, it's not only a symbol of the temple. It's a symbol of us being able to carry light and love and unity throughout the generations. Therefore, menorah, as you can see here, became also a symbol of the state of Israel. From this place, from here, I want to walk together with you to the area around the Western Wall. Meanwhile, of course, so they do not use this menorah today. During the holiday of Hanukkah, we bring another different menorah to the Western Wall, and that's where we light the menorah at the Western Wall. I want to jump together with you to the Western Wall itself. And after a short walk at the Western Wall Prayer Plaza at the Kotel, we will jump immediately into the tunnels also. So I really love Jerusalem during the nighttime. This time is very magical to travel inside Jerusalem. And here I can share it together with you from afar. Just recently, because so many people were at home, the Kotel was empty. And nowadays, the Ministry of Health of Israel allowed very small amount of people to come to the Kotel. And something that we did in order to help the people to stay healthy is to split the Kotel, the Western Wall Plaza, to lots of different small areas. And that's how people can come to pray by the Kotel or to put a note inside and stay safe and healthy. And you know, this place is existent here for several thousands of years. It has seen so many stages of history of Jerusalem. The wall itself and the stones of the wall, they have seen so many different people coming here. During the last year, I just want to share with you that we had 12 million people who arrived to the Western Wall. It's one of the most populated places, one of the places that people, tourists, Jews and non-Jews, are coming here to visit the Western Wall. There is one very special thing that I would like to share with you. Just here at the Western Wall, that was so important for the people that we were yearning to return back for so many hundreds of years. It happened that finally we are able to arrive here, even not now, even not physically, but at least to see this place on your screens. But before we will get into the Western Wall tunnels, I would like to share with you another cool thing. Do you see this building that is behind this fence? So this building is not built yet. But in Jerusalem, because everything is full of history, anytime when we build something, we first need to dig under the ground and to check out if we find something interesting from the history of Jerusalem. And that's what we did here. Before building this building, the archaeologists, they are the people, who go in to the ancient places and they dig. And sometimes they don't dig with bulldozers. They don't want to destroy the history. What they want to do is just to find some things that will remind us of an ancient times. And one of the things that they found here is actually something that I'm showing you right now on the screen. When you come to official office and the grown-up people, they sign very important documents, they have to put a seal, a stamp, so everyone will know that it's official, right? So we found here at the Western Wall the official seals of people who used to live in Jerusalem. Let's say this one. Do you see the picture of a soldier, something with a bow and arrows? So probably this was the minister of security of Jerusalem. His name was Chagav, and that's what's written here in ancient Hebrew. And there is another one of the priests that once upon a time was in the temple, 2,600 years ago, and his name was Yedaiah. And this is a stamp actually of a very important person. Here in ancient Hebrew, it says, Lesar Ha'ir, to the governor of the city. So imagine to yourself, the chief governor of the city of Jerusalem was sitting at this place and he had his stamp and all the official documents of Jerusalem, he was signing with them. So Jerusalem is a very old city with lots of history of other peoples and also, of course, of the Jews. I will stop for a second here. I will open the chat once again and I will see if there are any questions, or if you want to ask any question, please let us know and we will unmute your microphone and I will try to answer. Oh, someone asked me a very important question. Where did they take showers, right? So we visited at the homes of the people and we didn't see a bathroom. So where did they do all this? Where were they going to bathe? So one of the important things that was back then, that water was not accessible to most of people at homes. They had to go to a well, with a bucket, and they would put the bucket into the well, and then they would take the water. And usually this kind of water they used only for cooking and drinking. But back then there were central bath houses that people were, coming like to the hotel today. So they're coming for a day, staying there, bathing themselves, and once in a week they would go to bath houses. And actually one of these ancient bath houses I will show you just in a minute. So in order to do so, we will walk towards the entrance to the Western Wall tunnels, Minharot Kotel Ma'aravi. And in this place, we will enter, but just a second, I will need to jump with you together to another screen. Here we go. You can see the Kotel, the Western Wall, from a different angle. Actually, this picture was taken here about 2.5 years ago, before the coronavirus arrived to Israel. So take a look how at 11 o'clock at night, this place is full of people. And now standing at the Kotel, we will enter inside. And after we will enter inside, I will tell you some cool stories about how this place was discovered. Okay, let's go. We are entering under the ground And in these underground tunnels, imagine to yourself, people for hundreds of years were walking with candles because they didn't have flashlights, right? And they were living here, and some of them were discovering this place. Once again, take a look how cool it can be that we can walk forwards and backwards in this place. You can imagine yourself, you're like a time traveler, you know? We just traveled together with you back in time to Jerusalem of thousands of years ago, the ancient Jerusalem. All these walls and the secret chambers and this underground secrets of Jerusalem, it all happened to be here for lots of years. So someone asked me a question, how old is Jerusalem? Who built Jerusalem for the first time? So now I will be sharing with you a different screen with some pictures. What you see in front of you is this small hill, right? Do you see this hill? That's how Jerusalem looked like several thousand years ago. And according to Jewish tradition, very important people arrived to this place. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, they all described that when they arrived to this place, even if Jerusalem wasn't built yet, they felt something special. They felt that there is something important for them at this place. And then 3,000 years ago, you know how much is 3,000? I'm thinking to myself, it's like a lot of time, but how a lot it is. So let's say your grandmother's grandmother, grandmother's grandfather, grandfather, grandmother, grandmother, grandfather, 100 times, it's about what it means 3,000 years ago. So 3,000 years ago, there was a special man who arrived to Jerusalem. His name was King David. And King David, what he paid attention to is that, you know, the people of Israel used to live in Israel in lots of different states, you know, like in the United States of America, right? Some of you probably live in New York, and some of you in New Jersey, some of you Atlanta, and some of you Massachusetts, all these different states. So that's something like how Jews used to live in Israel thousands of years ago, but they were not united. The states were, each one of them, it's like a state on its own. And King David, he had a dream. He said, come on, Jews, how can it be that we are all together, but we are not really together? We need to build something that will unite us, all of us, as one big family. So he found a place that did not belong to any of the 12 tribes, and it was here on this mountain. It's actually where Jerusalem is right now, where the Kotel is. And he built from back then until nowadays the eternal capital of the Jewish people. So who built Jerusalem for the first time? It was King David. When? 3,000 years ago. And then his son, King Solomon, Shlomo HaMelech, he built on the top of the mountain this temple. That was the first temple. It didn't last so long. Different peoples came. And then about 2,000 years ago, it's like 66 times the grandmother of your grandmother of your grandfather of your grandfather, there was a king. His name was King Herod. He came to Israel and he said, you know, the temple is small. I want to make it bigger. I want to make it magnificent. I want to make the biggest building in the whole ancient world. So what he did, he built 4 walls. And on the top of these 4 walls, he made an artificial mountain, artificial platform. And on it, he built a building, which back then was the center of the capital of the Jews, the temple. The western wall, as you can see here, it was as long as something like half a kilometer, 488 meters. If some of you count in feet, it's about 1,500 feet. That was a huge area. But you know, in order for us to imagine, I will tell you how huge it was. All this area, which is called the Temple Mountain until today, it is something like 21 big soccer fields. Did you once try to run a soccer field from one side to another? You know, it's like walking and walking and running and running. So one soccer field is big, but 21 soccer fields, that's how this place was. And this was one of the biggest places biggest buildings in the world. And the Western Wall itself was about 40 meters high. It's about 13 stories building. And the temple itself was 57 meters high, which is about 170 feet, 18 stories building. Imagine to yourself 2,000 years ago. And what is the Western Wall? Actually, this whole wall that you see here in front of you. And then through the years, people built around buildings, and they built different arches, and on top of them another buildings, and on top of them another buildings. You know, history, it's like a cheesecake. Each generation comes and builds above and builds above and builds above and builds above. So that's how it happened that the most part of Jerusalem, the most part of the Western Wall of thousands of years ago stayed hidden under the ground. And actually, when we returned to Jerusalem about 57 years ago, the state of Israel returned to the Western Wall, to the Kotel, we were able to enter these hidden places and to discover the mystery of Jerusalem and its history and the things that are important to our nation all around the world. Because all around the world, people were always remembering Jerusalem. Even when we were not let to arrive to this place. Even when we couldn't come here. Every time on Passover, on Pesach, Leila Seder, the end of Leila Seder, what did we sing? Leshana hava b'Yerushalayim, Leshana hava b'Yerushalayim avnuya. So we never forgot this place, never. And it's amazing that we can come here and be together. And actually, one of the things that really unites all of us, all the Jewish people, is Jerusalem. Our memory, our values, our good deeds that the people that used to live in Jerusalem thousands of years ago, they established them as one of the important things for us. Take a look how magnificent these places are. How big, huge halls built here hundreds and hundreds of years ago. And all this place, after we were digging here with the archaeologists, remember archaeologists, they are people who are digging in the ground and they're discovering all the cool stuff from the ancient world. So they came here and they were digging, and they were able to uncover the hidden Western Wall. This is the Kotel. This is the same Kotel as we have seen before. The same. But just it was hidden from people's eyes for several hundreds of years. And now I want to show you something really cool. Imagine to yourself, oh, this is one stone. I'm showing you one stone of the Kotel. One stone, which is kind of big, right? Very heavy. Imagine to yourself to raise this stone. And each stone here is beautiful. Take a look how they carved it very carefully, very precise, very exact. And each stone is inside the frame. It's like, beautiful picture we have at home that you put inside the frame. That's how important Jerusalem was for the builders of the Kotel. And now I want to invite you all to become archaeologists, okay? Archaeologists, they pay attention to small details in all the different things that they find, and that's how they learn from when or from where these things arrive to Jerusalem. And so how do we know that, how do we recognize the stones of ancient Jerusalem? They all have this frame, right? So that's how I know this stone, let's say, it starts at the beginning of this frame here, and it ends over here, right? So that's how we know how it starts and how it ends. But just a second, something here doesn't fit. What is it? What is this thing that we see in front of us? We see the stone, it has this frame, right, you see? And I see where it begins on the bottom, but I don't see actually where it ends. And I don't see where it ends on the right and on the left. And what we see in front of us is one of the biggest stones that people made in the world. And I want to walk together with you along this stone. It starts over here. This is the beginning of the stone. And now we'll turn around and we will walk and we will walk. And we are still walking. And we are still walking. And we are still walking. And it's just one, same stone up to here. This is a huge stone. And this stone, it didn't grow here. You don't grow stones, right? If you want to make building stones, you need to go to a rock, you need to carve it, and you need to pick up a stone and raise it and move it and place it here. So this stone back then was huge, as big as a bus. It's like a whale. It's like the biggest shark in the world. What I want to show you is actually the measurements of this stone. And this stone was beginning from here and ending there. You see how big it is? It's almost 3.5 meters. It's about 10 feet. And it begins on the other side from there and ends over there at the frame. Do you see how huge it is? This is one stone. And when we measured what is the weight of this stone, we got to conclusion that this stone is 570 tons. But just a minute, what are you talking about? Tons? I don't understand in tons. And also, if you understand what tons is, it's like too much. Let's imagine to ourselves, elephant, big African elephant. Is it heavy or is it light? Can you just pick up an elephant? Hey, elephanty, I can raise you, right? No, impossible, right? So elephant is something huge. So this stone's weight is like 100 African elephants. 100 African elephants, only one stone. It was built here 2,000 years ago. And did you have a flight once in your life, maybe to Israel, maybe to a different place? This stone has the weight of 2 big jumbo jets, 2 huge planes with all the people inside. This is the weight of one stone. So imagine to yourself how beautiful, how magnificent, and how important Jerusalem was for the Jews during lots of different years and generations. I see there are some questions in the chat, and I'm going to open chat and see if there are questions that I can answer. Why is there a pape in the middle of 2 stones? So, lots of people that come to the Western world, to the Kotel, they come to pray, they come to ask something from God, and some of them feel more comfortable to write their prayers. And so then they fold it accurately and put it in between the cracks in the stones. Someone asked, can we write the question in the chat? Yes, of course. Who built it? King Herod the Great, 2,000 years ago. He arrived here, and as I already mentioned, that he wanted to make the temple and the Temple Mountain and the Kotel bigger. So he was the one who built it all, not alone, right? He hired 10,000 workers, and they worked on it for 10 years. I'm looking inside the chat. How did they move that stone? Oh, this is a very important question. I would like to try to answer this question to you. But really, the answer that I'm going to suggest is only something like partly answer, because we don't really know. We can assume and we can suggest different suggestions, right, about how did they move the stone over here, but something that we really know, that we don't know everything. Is it a good answer, or you want another one? I will give you another answer. But in order to do that, we need a short movie. Okay, are you ready? We opened some books, and then we were reading how the different architects and builders used to build huge buildings about 2,000 years ago. And after reading these books, we created a short cartoon, a short movie, that shows a little bit of how did they build these stones.
Rama, it looks like we can't see the video very well.
I will try to reshare the screen. I'm sorry. And I will begin it from the beginning. I'm sorry. Do you see the video now?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So now we'll start it from the beginning. So before we finish this tour together with you, I would like to jump back to the Kotel. And because we are in the virtual reality, I can do it really, really fast. Whoop, and we are there. So Jerusalem, this magnificent city. So many people love this place. So many people arrive to this place. HaKotel, and the miracle that we are actually celebrating today. Today is Yom Yerushalayim, the celebration of Jerusalem, the celebration of our people, of the Jewish people, that were able to return back to this important place for us and to be able to feel and to connect to what we are. The city of Jerusalem has 70 names. 70. You know about city that has 70 names? 70 names to Jerusalem. Jerusalem is only one of them. And lots of names, that means that it has lots of different sides. For some people, Jerusalem is a place of unity. For some people, is a place of their lives, their home. For some people, is a place of the connection. And any person can find their Jerusalem. One Israeli poet once wrote a very famous sentence. יש אבנים עם לב אדם. Some hearts, it may be hearts of stones, but there are some stones that they have hearts of a human. And this is the place, this is the heart of Jerusalem, and this is the heart of our nation. And from this place, I would like to wish you all Yom Yerushalayim Sameach. And I hope you all will be staying well, feeling well, and all the best. If you have any questions, we have a minute. I'm very happy that I could have an opportunity to meet you all. Now that I'm not sharing my screen, I can see all of your amazing faces. So many amazing people, so many amazing kids. Guys, by the way, you know that the story of Jerusalem is not finished? The history is not finished because you are going to be the next ones who are writing the history of Jerusalem. You and me and all of us together. It's our eternal capital with 3,000 years of history and still running and running.
Wow, amazing. Shlomo, I can't believe we got to go to Jerusalem right from home. Everyone, can we give Shlomo a big round of applause for taking us on this amazing tour, and we got to stay at home. So now if anyone has questions, you can put it in the chat. But I also want to tell you, some of you maybe you don't know me. My name is Ella from Keshet. And I want to tell you that we have so many more activities tomorrow, next week for Shavuot. We have so many activities for you that you can find right on our website. And I'm going to share it very, very soon. And so I hope that you will join us for more incredible activities. But before we do that, I want to say thank you so much to Shlomo. I'm looking to see if there are questions in the chat. I want to see if we can I'm going to open everyone's mics because I want to see if we can say Toda, thank you to Shlomo, and say goodbye. And you can say Chag Sameach because we're celebrating Jerusalem. Okay, I'm opening everyone's microphone.
We're going to end anyway.
Thank you so much. תודה רבה 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 שלמה, להתראות, חג שמח.
מהפכה של שמחה, כולנו משפחה. שמעתי שעושים פה מסיבה בלעדיי,
אף אחד לא עושה את זה יותר טוב ממני.
היי, נשים את הצרות מאחוריי, אני לא הולך עד שכולכם מבסוטים.
היי, שמעתי שהתחלתם בלעדיי,
אף אחד לא עושה את זה יותר טוב ממני.
היי, הראש כבר מסתובב כולם בהיי,
לא נעצור עד שכולכם מבסוטים. להיט, תרימו לי להיט, תרימו לבורא, הקצב כאן עולה. מהפכה של שמחה, כי כולנו משפחה, ונרקוד בטירוף, כי הגיע הזמן לעוף, מעכשיו רק שמחה, כי בונים בו קהילה, השתגענו עובדים, עם שנים כעובדים. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up everybody and sing. אלוהים, אלוהים, רק תשמור על הבוגדים,
תחבק אוהבים,
שתמיד נהיה שמחים.
אלוהים, אלוהים, רק תשמור על העובדים, תחבק אוהבים, שתמיד נהיה שמחים.
Everybody be איתכם